Yes, people, welcome back to the First XI. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video. This is Extra Time. I've got Rachel and Jem with me. We're going to be talking first about Poch.
Yes.
Why did we put him on this? Hang on, let's get into the comments first. Let's go already. Oh, sorry, Prime. Barry in the comments.
Normally we're waiting for
Matthew,
Prime anyway.
Man, he's love Prime, but he's a nightmare. Poch, right? I genuinely feel sorry for him. Why do fans put him on this pedestal of a Klopp and Pep, man? Where does this even come from? I don't get it.
But I don't blame Poch for where he is in terms of it's the pressure that was put on by the fans on him. They painted him in this image that he's this great manager that's done this and done that. But in theory, what has he done? What has he won? He's got Tottenham to a final of the Champions League, which they bottled. He's taken them to 4 or 5 FA Cup semi-finals, which they bottled all of them. Never made one final.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't get the fascination. Even Man United fans, they make me feel sick. Why do they back him more than their own manager? What is wrong with you? The guy's about to flop in the French league for the first time in a long time for PSG. they got knocked out of the Champions League. This guy's come in and he's absolutely collapsed them already. Like, I don't get it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Me and Rachel were talking in the space earlier, and she was saying like playing Verratti in the 10. That was just the weirdest thing. Even PSG fans can't explain that to me. Even the ones who love Poch are like, I can't explain this to you. Like his in-game management has never been great, and that's where Man United fans get me, is because when you watch Manchester United, we are generally poor in the first half, and then we come out in the second half. So something's going on in the dressing room to get the best out of the team in the second half. PSG in the Champions League went over a game and a half without a shot on goal.
Yep.
With Mbappe and Neymar.
Yeah, that's telling you that it's got to be a manager thing, isn't it? Because let's be serious.
The second game, but Icardi, we got Verratti. Got some.
But they were firing.
Di Maria.
They were firing before he came here. Like, that makes sense. What is it? Is it a mentality thing with him? Is he not? Is he too is he too cushy with him? Like, does he not? Don't they take him serious? Maybe, I don't know. Like, it's weird. I just don't get it.
It's strange, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know what gets me?
Really put my finger on it. That's the problem.
You know what gets me right with the United fans that love Poch? His weaknesses are the same as Ollie's in terms of the in-game management, late substitutions. But they want Poch so much, and yet they will cuss Ollie at any given moment. That's what's strange to me. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I understand people watch Tottenham and they play some great football, but as I've said many times, they had the best back four. They had a very good goalkeeper, and they had one of the best strikers in the world in Harry Kane. Then they've got Son there as well, playing wide. The only thing they needed to sort out really was their midfield, and even then, it wasn't that bad. You know, Christian Eriksen was great for them. Moussa Dembele was a very good player. I really liked him. They brought in Wanyama to be like the sort of, the destroyer in midfield, and he worked out before he got injured. But overall, they had a very, very good team. They should have won something. 100% they should have. So he underachieved them, really.
I don't think Poch, if he's in this Man United team, gets Man United second. That's the thing.
Doesn't. No way.
I really don't think they respond to that like the way they have with Ollie. All right, there might be a second half team at the moment, but Ollie's getting a response. I watch Man United, and when they go 1-0 behind, I know they're going to come back. Like, that's, do you know what I mean? I don't think they do that under Poch. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think, me personally, if I, by the way, hi everyone, hope everyone's good. Can you guys hear me well and everything?
Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. I was just sitting there awkwardly till Jem finished. Yes, it's me. Yeah. So the topic is Pochettino.
Basically, this show is Extra Time. So it's us just talking football in general. Any topics you want to come up with, anything you want to talk about. Well, that's pretty much what we do. Get it off your chest.
I think, just regarding the same topic you guys are on right now, I'd say personally, I think Pochettino would actually do a better job than Oli. I think,
Wow.
in my opinion, Pochettino actually did really well with that Tottenham team. And the drop-off after Pochettino left is proof of it. Now you just see people going like, oh, Dele Alli is not good enough, blah, blah, blah. But with Pochettino, these players won awards. And at the end of the day, Tottenham, before Pochettino came, no one can deny it, was like a nothing team. No one knew about, etc. So when Pochettino came to Tottenham, he did the whole project thing. I think like if you talk like from like he didn't win trophies or etc., it's not just down to Pochettino. I think the fact they decided to like build a stadium in their most successful time, which makes no sense. Like, do it when you're irrelevant. Why do you do it when you're important? So like the fact he didn't get supported in the transfer window, it's many things why he didn't actually win something there. But personally, I'd say Pochettino would do. Yeah, he wasn't. I'd say he would do better than Oli. And the team United have right now, when you think about it, in my opinion, this was their best chance to win the league. Because at the beginning of the season, when you would have thought about it, everyone thought it's either Chelsea, Liverpool, or City for the title. Everyone thought that way. Everyone was like, everyone thought it was like either Liverpool are going to win it again, City, or Chelsea bought like Werner, Havertz, etc. So they had the best opportunity to win the league this year with all like the teams dropping off. But they didn't take advantage of it, and a manager can lose you up to 10 to 15 points a game. So that's why a game. I mean, a season. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one because I don't think we can actually rate Poch yet. That's where I am with it. I don't think he's had enough time to work with elite players for us to be able to judge him. And this is what I'm saying. As football fans, we've put him on a level that we shouldn't be putting him on. There is absolutely nothing there to suggest that he's a terrible manager. At the same time, there's nothing there to suggest that he's an elite manager or that he's going to be. He's literally in a position right now where he's at a top club in Europe and he has to go and prove that. My
biggest issue with him, and I know it's, and I think Sam makes the point. Obviously, at Spurs, he got them to a Champions League final and he got them to 4 FA Cup semi-finals, but he didn't ever win them anything. And Hassan was saying like, you know, this squad that they had was a very good squad, but you got to bear in mind they had Vertonghen and Toby, who are for me were the best at the time, duo centre backs. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he still couldn't do it. It's not like they had a bad team. They had a decent.
Danny Rose
in their prime. Danny Rose and Cole Walker, which worked very well for him. Dembele was one of the best midfielders at the point for me. He was that good.
Dele Alli was on fire.
Like what I'm trying to get at, he had a good enough team to go, and he's had opportunities to win, and he flopped even with a decent team as Spurs. All right, they haven't got the pedigree, but he still had the opportunity to do something with them, and he couldn't. And I think the whole thing with PSG at the moment, where he stands with it, and the fact that it looks like Lille might be winning the league this season and being knocked out of the Champions League, doesn't look good on him at the moment. I just don't think it looks good on him.
I think personally, the whole French league thing is actually a better argument than Tottenham, because if you just listen to what you said, he got Tottenham to a Champions League final. Before Pochettino actually came to Tottenham, would have anyone on planet Earth actually said Spurs would play in a Champions League final within 4 years, whatever? I don't think anyone on Earth would have predicted that.
Yeah. But they beat Man City 5-4, didn't they? I remember that was saying stupid like that, 4-3, wasn't it? It was
just put the squad in.
That was amazing. That was amazing. The whole Llorente game. I love that.
Yeah, it was a good game. Very good game. Yeah. They had a good enough squad, and that was my issue with it. Like, and he still couldn't achieve something with them. Then, all right, he got them Champions League football, which was a big achievement for Spurs. Let's be serious. They struggled for Champions League football for a very long time when Arsene Wenger was around, where they were getting done by him for every blimmin' year. And then Chelsea didn't know when Chelsea won the Champions League when he finished sixth.
That was out of order. That was out of order, man.
So, I don't know.
I was hoping West Ham would do it to Chelsea this season. Just needed to see that revenge happen, but is what it is.
Definitely.
I think, look, Pochettino, I think what the host said, sorry, I can't read your name because I'm on my phone right now and I'm wearing glasses and it's far away. I'm sorry. But I think Pochettino, what you said about him is accurate. He's not an elite manager. And he's not a shit manager. He's just very good. Like, he's a good manager. He's a very good manager. He's not like Pep Klopp, but at the same time, he's not like Allardyce. He's like in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Not as bad as Allardyce or any of those. But no, man, that's insulting. But yeah, he's like people. It's the pedestal that people put him on. Like when people put him on par with Pep and Klopp, like he can compete with them on a managerial level. It's not. That's not the case at all. They're miles ahead of him. And then you've got like the likes of Tuchel at the moment, who's doing really well. You can't compare Poch to him at all.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's the thing, and I don't think this Chelsea squad is as balanced. Sorry, the Chelsea first 11 is as balanced as that Spurs side. I think that Spurs side was better. Chelsea don't really have a striker. Well, they do, Giroud, but they don't play him. But they don't really have a striker. That I think their defense is still kind of figuring themselves out. There's been a lot of changes in that defense as well, right? Whereas that Spurs defense for me was the best in the league.
Oh yeah,
It was.
It was just
combination
Carl
was
Walker
perfect.
and Danny
Yeah.
Rose was on fire.
Yeah.
And the two centre backs, Hugo Lloris in his prime, I think he should have at least picked up a League Cup. At least a League Cup.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a fair argument. That's a fair argument. I think domestic trophies he definitely should have won one at least. I think also like Spurs fans themselves criticize him for not taking the 2 domestic cups as serious as he should, and he's shown that plenty of times. But at the same time, like I think with the Pochettino thing, it's a very like it's a debate which isn't just 1 + 1 = 2, because there's many factors when it comes down to it. Like look at Liverpool this season. When you look at first 11 without injuries, you say top 1 squad in the league. But look what happens when we get injuries, and that's what happened with Spurs as well. Let's not forget they got plenty of injuries. Kane was getting injured like every season, and who was the substitute striker for Kane? I think at a point it was
Llorente.
Llorente.
Yeah. The drop off
all
was
of them
huge,
aren't
I'll
good
give you
enough.
that.
Yeah,
I think that's true. The drop off was huge, but I still think there was enough quality in that side to pick up a trophy. And I think you have to listen. I give him his props, getting to a Champions League final and getting Spurs into third. Got to give him his props. I just feel that for the level that fans put him on, he would have had to have won something with that team. That's where I am with it.
Yeah.
So
I'm the same as you.
I just see so much of it on social media and on fan channels that I feel like I've got to fight back. I can't just leave it alone.
Yeah, but you know why
it's
you
embarrassing
feel
now.
like you know why you feel like you've got to fight back? Because the majority of this Poch lovers are Man United fans. That's what it is.
It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing.
It is.
So
you guys, all 3 of you would actually take Oli over Poch?
I wouldn't see a reason to swap Oli out for Poch. I don't see a reason for it. There's no evidence there to suggest that Poch can be an improvement on Oli. And as far as I'm concerned, I think if Manchester United were to get rid of Oli, bring in an elite manager, if you can, or bring in a proven winner. I don't want to bring somebody in who's achieved as much as Oli has, really. In terms
what
of
it is for me? I think Poch would be like, he's a better coach, right? He's a coach. We know that Solskjaer isn't. We played better football under Poch, for sure.
Yeah,
But,
I was about to say.
But good football doesn't mean winning football.
No.
better,
what I mean?
better on the eye, you mean, right?
Yeah, better
better
on the
anyway.
eye. Like our fans would love it, but when you look at you know how we feel about the midfield. Like if those midfielders try to play Poch's style of football, does it work that well? Like can they execute what he wants on the football pitch?
I don't think so.
And maintain the balance in terms of
I
being able
don't
to
think
defend as well as
Wan-Bissaka
attack.
would, Rachel. I don't think.
Yeah, so
AWB
AWB's not good on the ball. Rashford is hit or miss with some of the things that he does. I think Martial would do quite well in the system, but I don't think he'll be as a striker. He'd have to play on the left, in my opinion. And then you've got McTominay, Fred. If you put Pogba in the middle alongside McTominay or Fred or Matic, there are
He's
issues
the one
with
that
that
would
as well
thrive the
defensively.
most. He's the one
He
that
would
thrive
try
the most.
individually, yes.
Pogba.
Individually in terms of being able to get forward and whatnot, yeah. But defensively, when you consider the mistakes that we have in defence anyway, they won't have the cover and we will concede more goals. So at that point, is it winning football under Poch with those players? Because we know he's
That's
not going
the
to get back. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So he's a better coach than Oli, in my opinion. But do I think he would have won the league with us this season? No way. Because we don't have the players to win the league. We're not strong enough, in my opinion. And some of the wins that we've had we did ride our luck in a lot of them as well, you know. So like, I know luck is part of football, but
You've been blessed with injuries as well this season. I'm not going to lie. I think
yeah,
you guys. No, Bruno. All right, Rashford was playing with an injury.
2 injuries. Pogba was out for the first 3
Pogba,
months.
you lost. Pogba was the biggest one because he was out for a sort of a long
Cavani's
period
been
of time.
in and out of injury.
Cavani's been in and out.
Martial's
But to
been
keep
injured
Bruno,
all season.
I think when you keep Bruno Rashford,
Bailly's
I
been
know it's
injured
going
all
to sound
season.
stupid, but you keep Maguire fit. You've got sort of a spine there. Do you know what I mean? In a way. So
yeah.
I think most Man United fans know where this squad is. We know that we know that Manchester United are not the second best squad in the league. Far from it. Chelsea.
They aren't. But like, here's my thing. The point I made was it's their best chance due to what happened with other teams. It is not. It's not necessarily that like United have the best squad or best manager or whatever. I'm just saying City dropped off at the start of the season. They picked it up 100%, but at the start of the season they dropped off massively. We dropped off massively. Chelsea dropped off massively. So it was their opportunity, and if they seized the opportunity at the start of the season, they were drawing quite a few games. They were losing at home. I think if they seized the opportunity at that point, they would be first, or could have been like at least in a better position to challenge. And I think that would happen with a better manager. And honestly, I don't rate Oli at all.
That's not fair though, because you're saying, oh, all these other teams dropped off and whatnot. Well, Manchester United dropped off. That's why we dropped points. Like, it's part of football. Right? We don't have, like I said before, our players aren't that great anyway. Like, our squad isn't great. It's not balanced. We were bound to drop points at some point. And when we lost Pogba, we only have 3 creators in our team, right? We have Bruno, Pogba, and Luke Shaw. Bruno went through a bad patch where he wasn't performing well. Pogba got injured. Our only creator was Luke Shaw. So and we dropped off, didn't we? We weren't creating. We were horrible in possession. The games against Crystal Palace and West Brom were horrendous. So every team's going to drop off. It's expected that we would have dropped off because our squad's not as good as any of those teams that you mentioned. Obviously, Liverpool had their injury issues, fair enough, but it's more of a thing of we're not good enough to win the league regardless, because once Manchester City started picking up points and they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, we're not going to compete with that. So I don't think it's fair to say, oh, you know, if we took advantage of them dropping points, because at the end of the day, we drop points and it's normal for us to drop points. Do you know what I mean? We're not that great. It's not. I think that's a really unfair thing to say.
I think you've been the most consistent. That's what it is. I think you guys have, like I said, you've got Ollie's got sort of a little sort of winning mentality going on there, where you go behind or you're drawing games, and I've seen it this season. 1-1 in games, 85th minute, bang, goal, Cavani. Do you know what I mean? Wins you games, and that's happened quite a lot this season for Man United, especially in games, and that's the difference. That's the difference. I think at the moment you have got winners. I think you've got winners, experienced winners in the team.
I think I have to give, because I know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not a world class manager, and I'm not Ole in or Ole out, because for me he hasn't built a squad, right? He hasn't built his team. But I think people have to give him credit for figuring out a system with these players. I think he has to get credit for that.
Not his players as well.
Not his players. No right winger. Poor centre back partnership. Terrible centre midfield partnership, which is played to hide our deficiencies of our defence and allow us to try and win the ball back and recycle the ball. One striker in Cavani. Rashford's had injuries. Like you say, Rachel, we've had one creator for a lot of the season in Luke Shaw. I think he has to have credit for that. Isn't like we've got a Declan Rice and a Kante in midfield, and the centre of midfield dominating and running games. That's literally the opposite of what we do.
Yeah,
you got two headless chickens that run around trying to win the ball back a lot of the time. That's what I see.
Yeah, we literally got pure energy.
That is it.
But it's not even useful energy. Like Liverpool, with the way they played like last season and the season before, they had all the energy in midfield, but they still had players who could pass a bloody ball consistently throughout 90 minutes. Our players don't do that. Like Fred and McTominay will have a good half, people will gas them up, and then they will do something stupid in the second half, or vice versa. So it's more than just energy, isn't it? You need them to be good on the ball. We don't have players that are good on the ball playing in those positions. That's the problem.
No, that's not. That's not what we were saying. So he says Rashford not getting credit, 20 goals, 18 assists, all comps, and he is like 5% fit. That's not what we were saying. We were saying basically that Rashford has been injured. Rashford has been injured, and for some of the season he hasn't been able to play. He's actually been
Big up you, Gio.
he's been forced to play games, which I do criticize Ollie for. Some of the substitutions are like, wow, like there were games where we didn't have to play Pogba. Rashford didn't have to come off the bench in games we were already winning in.
Bruno starting in the Sociedad game.
Cavani. I don't think even Cavani had to come on today. I don't think we even had to risk Cavani today.
Did he score today?
Yeah,
Yeah,
great
he
goal.
did.
Yeah. Great goal. Actually, let's move on to this. This is something I want to talk about. So, I've been debating with somebody on Twitter about it. About that basically Martial's not going to make the runs that Cavani does, right? And I think a lot of people get confused when it comes to creativity.
Mm.
Creativity isn't just when the ball is at your feet. That's like 10-20% of it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's about the movement off the ball.
Mm.
If somebody
I agree.
if somebody stood still, nothing can be created, right?
Yeah.
Cavani today makes that run from wide left. All Rashford has to do, and it's a great ball by Rashford, by the way. It's a great ball by Rashford. But because of the run that Cavani makes, he's got enough time, Rashford, to pick out the perfect ball, perfect weight on the pass, by the way, to head it into the back of the net. Martial or Rashford themselves don't even think about that run. Where Rashford is off the edge of the box, Martial comes to feet for the quick 1-2. That's what happens there.
This is the argument, isn't it? In the end, when you think
But I
about
think
it, because
with Cavani, I think he just has way more experience than Martial. So he now like plays with his brain, with his IQ. Like his footballing IQ obviously is going to be way higher than Martial. It's like just considering like how much he's played and where he's played over the past 10 years or so. But at the end of the day, I think with Martial, like people either like overrate him or underrate him. Like me personally, I just think he's been messed around way too much, and he's a confidence player in my opinion. Like he thrives off of momentum and actually building confidence. Like the run he made towards the end of the season last year where he kept scoring goals. I think Martial could develop to be a top level striker, but at the end of the day, he's been messed around way too much. Like played on the wing, sometimes dropped by Mourinho. He had Ibrahimovic take his place. So plenty of things have happened. But at the end of the day, Cavani and Martial, if this discussion was happening like with a 30-year-old Cavani, obviously Cavani would win it easily. But in terms of like what you have to build for the future and who can actually be the striker for United, I think Martial with a bit more experience, maybe with a bit more confidence in him, is easily like one of the best strikers in the league, maybe top 10, top 5.
I think the biggest issue with this, I keep saying, it's the difference with a Cavani and a Martial and a Rashford, and Indiana's already said it. It's quite clear. Is their movement? Martial is not going to make them runs. Why? Because he's not a striker.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And you can't
Timo Werner makes
you
those
can't.
runs.
He does
Yeah, he
because
does.
he's a striker. Yes, you're right.
And how old is Timo Werner?
He's 24, 25 now. 25.
25.
Yeah.
You can't coach football IQ.
No, this
You
is
either
what I
have
was
it
about
or
to
you
say.
don't.
Exactly, Rachel. Exactly.
You
what I
can't
was just
coach
about to say.
football IQ, but you can build a system for you to actually, like when you look at some of our players, like for example, not to bring this to Liverpool, but when you look at our front men, not all of them before they came to Liverpool were strikers, goal scorers, whatever. Mane was never at this level at Southampton. Mo was never at this level at Roma. Firmino at Hoffenheim, etc. But the Klopp system allows them to actually be goal scorers and be the main threat. So that's what I meant by like Martial got messed around way too much, like winger, bench, striker, etc. And he's just a young guy, so like. For
He's
him,
25.
building experience.
He's 25,
Yeah, I mean,
He's
when he got
25
messed
years
around,
old.
like over the past
He's
4 years,
inconsistent. Yeah.
like when he's actually been.
I just-
Salah and Mane still had an eye for goal though. Like Salah, when he was at Roma, like he didn't score 40 goals a season or anything like that, but he still made the same sort of runs that he does now. Obviously, he gets more of the ball in dangerous areas because he played for a very good Liverpool side in the last couple of seasons. But the runs that he made is the same. His eye for goal is the same. Like the way he shoots, his technique is the same. His footballing IQ is the same. It's just he's playing in a system where he's the right profile of player for the system that Klopp has. If you know what I mean. If you put another player, if you put Martial in there, he doesn't make the runs that Salah makes.
You
and then
can't.
you've got, it's not going to be the same,
Yeah.
is it? Martial won't be coached that.
You,
He's
you,
not going to make those runs because of the system.
exactly.
It's down to the player.
You can't.
Because
You can't. You can't force players like Rashford and Martial to do what Cavani does because it's just not in their. It's just not in their game. It's just not
It's not
their
got the
IQ.
instincts. It's a natural
People need
ability.
exactly. People need to accept. 'Cause sometimes I think as fans we push players into doing things that it's just not them. And I
Yeah.
think with Martial, that's what we do. You know, Edison
I agree.
Cavani for me is a rare breed of striker. Why? Because his movement is something that's dying in this game. I mean, in terms of being
It's
able
always
to
been
coach
rare,
in front of
Jim.
goal, it's rare. It's still, but
It's
it's
always
getting
been rare
rarer.
because it's a
Indiana.
natural
It's getting
ability.
rarer.
It's a
That's my
natural
point.
ability to have that
Yeah.
instinctive movement.
course
Cavani's
it is.
always looking for the run. Martial's always looking for the cutback. And this is it. This is another debate I had on Twitter today. Is somebody said to me, we've now started putting more crosses in the box. That's why Cavani has scored more goals than Martial.
bollocks.
When actually, year on year, we are putting less crosses in the box. The fact of the matter is that Martial and Rashford don't attack the ball. So if Wan-Bissaka or Luke Shaw, let's say a fullback, put the ball across the box and nobody attacks the ball, that doesn't go down as a cross in the box or a chance created.
Yeah.
The difference between a top striker and an average striker is those half chances become chances.
But they think ahead, Indiana.
Yeah.
So what they
Yeah.
do is before Luke Shaw kicks that ball, you've seen Cavani do it this season. He's already in the position to know that where the ball's going to go. He thinks before he's even done, and that's what makes top strikers.
Yeah.
100%.
The one
Yeah.
that sums it up is the Luke Shaw cross to Harry Kane for England. That sums it up, because if Harry Kane doesn't make that movement, that goal just doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, he attacked the ball when the cross came in.
I-
You know,
I-
so you know.
It's a
Here's what
dying
I
breed.
would here's what I would say. Here's what I would say. When you face low blocks, most of the time, because you're Manchester United, having someone like Martial up top, I don't think it's going to benefit you through the season. I don't think he's ever going to be a striker in this system or in a Premier League team that could win the Champions League in the number 9. That's how I feel about it. I want him out wide. I want him running at players. I want him cutting inside. I want him shooting. He's incredible at it. Outstanding at it. He's never going to be that instinctive striker. I would play Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Raul Jimenez, Danny Ings, who else? Chris Wood. They've all got better instincts in the box because they want to attack the ball, and that's the difference. Like Martial will always wait for the cutback, and his hold-up play has improved. Don't get me wrong, his hold-up play has really improved. His link-up play has improved, and that's great to see.
But that's where he's comfortable, isn't it? Going to the ball, holding the ball up, turning around
Yeah,
with it, and
exactly.
driving. That's
Exactly.
his thing. You don't want that.
I think it's wasted. I think it's wasted when you have players like Pogba and Bruno that are always going to be trying things and trying to create. You don't want a player coming to feet. It makes no sense. You need a player at the worst, at the very, very worst, makes the run to drag a centre back out of position.
Werner.
At the very worst. Yeah, but Werner does do that.
He does do that. He does.
He does
His
do that.
movement's very, very good, Werner, to be fair to him.
Firmino does it. Firmino does it for Liverpool. Firmino does it all the time. He's always on the move. So even though he's not scoring goals, and
he makes space.
He's not exactly been a golden boot winner over the last few years, right? But Liverpool won the Champions League and they've won the Premier League because they've had a player who's intelligent enough to move. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then
Firmino, I think. Look, Cavani is obviously at this point for United a way better striker than Martial, and I think they do need him, as you said, because they usually play against low blocks in the Premier League. And when you play against a low block, you need that instinctive striker instead of like someone like Martial. But at the end of the day, look, in my opinion, I feel like the Martial experiment now, in my opinion, it's probably just failed at United. So I think they just should move him on and just get some funds for him while they still can and invest that elsewhere, because I don't think Martial is gonna make it at United, in my opinion.
I think he can still make it, but just as a left winger. The thing is, he's put on a bit of muscle and he's lost a little bit of pace, and he's not taking on players the way he used to. Ollie played him on the left a couple of times this season, and he didn't look right on the ball. Usually he will get the ball, he will take on fullbacks, as you said.
Yeah, he looks a bit heavy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's not doing it. He didn't do it this season. Like really, he had a couple of moments, but overall he wasn't constantly running at the fullback, trying to take him on and cutting in and shooting. He wasn't doing that.
My biggest thing with Martial, right? He had a good end of last season. Yeah, he came alive.
Mm.
Why does he never kick on? Why can he never just come into a new season and kick forward?
Jem, I think he's
a purple patch player.
I think
That's the
he's-
problem, though, isn't it?
I think he's a confidence.
That's a mentality
player.
issue.
I think he's
Yeah,
a
that's what I'm
confidence
saying.
player. I was talking to a guy I coach with the other day, and we were talking about when Manchester United went down to play Bristol City, and we were watching that game, and we went to the stadium and watched it at Ashton Gate, and Martial was making Bristol City look absolutely stupid the first 5-10 minutes. About 11 minutes in, hard crunching championship tackle. Never went near the guy again.
Yeah, he's
Never tried to take him on again. And that tells me he's a confidence player. Marcus Rashford, that wouldn't phase him. But Marcus Rashford wouldn't phase him, and he'll keep going and he'll keep trying and he'll fight back. Martial won't do that, even though technically he is levels
He's better.
above
He is better.
Rashford.
Yeah.
He's a much
Yeah.
better footballer. He really
Yeah, he
is.
is.
I think if he had the right, mentality, that desire, and that fight in him, he
He'd
could
be
be
lethal.
he could
He'd
be
be
a
lethal.
world class player.
Yeah,
he
he could
really
be.
could.
Yeah.
I think my issue is I think he's holding himself back.
I know, I've said this. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He is. He's a confidence player, and what you said is true. There, he's just a confidence player. Like he needs momentum to score goals. And I think I also agree with what Jem said. Like it shows that there's a mentality problem there because like players who actually get tackled, like the example you just mentioned, etc. That shouldn't phase you at all. You need to keep going, keep going, keep going. But with Martial, it's different. He's just a confidence player. He needs momentum, etc. to actually perform in games. So I think that's why I said they should just sell him on, and like end the whole thing.
I would like to see Manchester United get a right winger. And
Sanchez.
keep yes, a Sancho would be great, right? And a midfielder.
Declan Rice.
Yep, I'd love a Declan
Yes,
Rice,
please.
Jim. You know this.
But you can't
And
get
then-
both, though. That's the thing.
Well, it's Manchester
that's
United. You
it.
can't
We
get
should be able to get
Should
both.
be able to.
Obviously, I'm not saying
Should
at club
be able
level.
to.
I'm saying because of ownership.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
No,
We'll probably get
no,
one.
we trust me. We know, we know how bad this club is. But I'd like to see us get a right winger and be a bit more balanced with Cavani up top, and see Martial fight for his position on the left with Rashford, and see whether when we're a more balanced side, whether he's going to make those late runs to the far post, whether he, to get on the end of crosses, whether the fact that we've got a threat on the right hand side is going to make teams open up a little bit more and we get more out of him. I'd like one more season of Martial to see if we can do that, because the talent is there, and I think that his best season for me wasn't last season. His best season for me was, I think it was his second or third season when he was really battling out with Marcus Rashford, and he was just electric. He wasn't banging in goals, and it wasn't loads of assists, but he was so confident. He was great on the ball, and you could see that he was gonna get somewhere with it. I think he's got an issue with playing on the left, though. That's the only thing I've got with him right now, is that I think he wants to be a number 9 so badly that when he is put out on the left, he kind of gives up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
He
Which is
has
a
a
shame,
mentality
really.
issue, 100%. He has a mentality issue, like genuinely. He just has like I think a mentality issue. He's a confidence player. He needs like momentum to play well, etc. And you see other players like fighting on the pitch, even though they don't have as much quality as Martial, which I think just shows like the problem with him.
I think the other thing as well you've got to bear in mind is you're Manchester United Football Club. You can't keep just carrying players.
Can't carry people. I'm with you.
If players are not going to step up and really jump into their, into what they're good at and show what they're worth for the club, then you have to just move them on. And this is what something Chelsea's very good at doing. We're just ruthless. Like if someone doesn't turn up, we'll just get rid of them. As with I think
exactly.
and Man
Exactly.
United, Liverpool, maybe not Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, whoever else, that they would potentially hold out and hope, if that makes sense. We don't, and that's the difference. in my eyes.
Right, let me get into a few comments. Listen, people, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, follow us all on the socials. Make sure you do that. Tish here, big up to Tish. Okay, they're talking to each other. Big up Rich Sports. Where were Spurs in the league when Poch got sacked? I can't remember.
I think they were 8th or 9th, probably.
Okay. The reason Poch at United may have worked well is the United level is so much higher than the level Poch raised Spurs from. Yeah, maybe. Bruno is Thanos. He isn't getting injured. Pogba, Rashford, Martial, Cavani, Bailly, Lindelof, Shaw. So many injuries. Yep, true. At the end, Alisson made 2 good saves. The World Cup
We're talking about it. Must be talking about something else.
Yeah, talking to each other.
I want to talk about something quickly, actually.
Yeah, go on.
And it's to do with managers, actually. Someone sent me something on Twitter today, and it was breaking down the top 30 managers and the top 4.
Gosh.
Yeah, we were going to do a stream on this.
Was Flick, Klopp, Pep, and then Tuchel coming 4th. It's not that I don't think Tuchel's a good manager, because what he's done at Chelsea is huge. Don't get me wrong. And obviously he's won things at Paris Saint-Germain. He's been one of the most successful managers over there as well. I get that. Is it quite early to put him 4th best manager in the world already without him actually achieving anything with us?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't achieved anything.
Do you get what I mean?
You know, very interesting.
I'm being harsh. But
We just spoke about this earlier with Poch. Like, are you putting him on a pedestal he shouldn't be on? And I think it's the same with Tuchel. Like, there's still one more level to go up for him to reach. And I would actually include Zidane in the top 3 managers in the world, in my opinion. I think he is in that caliber of manager. And it's not the time yet to actually put Tuchel in that level. I agree with Jem. Like, I think it's still there's another level to go up from that. So.
if he wins the Champions League, and he
Hopefully
manages to win us an FA Cup in his first season, short season, I think it would make more sense if we're talking about currently. If it's based, I don't know what it's based on. That's the problem with these things. Is it based on current managers and the form that they're currently in and what they're doing, or is it just the overall? Because if you're talking about the overall manager, then Jose Mourinho's got to be up there because he's won things.
But Allegri's in it, and he hasn't managed for 2 years. That's what I was confused about. And then Ancelotti wasn't in it when he definitely deserved to be in it. Yeah,
Wow.
it's ridiculous.
Is this voted for by fans or what?
And I don't get it. That's what I'm saying.
don't know.
What is the meaning of it? I don't get it. What they
Look, I think personally, it's not even whether he wins the Champions League this season. It's whether it depends what he does next season.
Yeah, I agree.
Basically, this is my opinion on it. Is he a Di Matteo? Like, he's just gonna come in for 6 months, win a huge trophy, and then just drop off massively? Because that could happen. You never know. Or is he another level of manager? So that's the interesting part will be what happens next season. What happens next season will show which level Tuchel is at. Because if he comes back next season into the Premier League and actually contends for the title, wins it, or is actually very close, 2, 3, 5 points away from winning it, etc., then that puts him up another notch. But if he just wins the Champions League and then just drops off massively like other managers have done in the past, then it's a different conversation. So we have to wait for that one, in my opinion.
I think the test. I think the true test for Tuchel is next season. So he's come in with a new system. He's got confidence into a very good squad. By the way, they were never a bad squad. And also at the right time when these players are ready to start kicking on and they've all got something to prove. Next season will be the true test. Man City will still be there. Liverpool will be stronger than what they are now. Chelsea are obviously going to buy players.
Man United might
help the
strengthen.
system. Man United. Man United can't.
We'll have to see with that one.
But I'm not putting them in a title race.
The question mark with Tuchel for me, and this is the big thing going into next season. I don't worry that he won't adapt, and when I mean by that, I mean formations, because as you know, with every formation, you end up getting found out one way or the other, and eventually, the way we play, someone will know how to play against it, and then it will become harder for us to win games how we're winning currently at the moment. I don't think we have the issue of him actually changing systems and adapting it. I think it's the current players that we've got. Can they adapt to different systems, or are they just system players? Does that make sense? So I think there it is. Yeah, there it
Yeah,
is. Can
okay.
can he adapt with these players and get the best out of them going into the next season in a different formation
I think-
and add to it? That's the
I
question.
think so, Jem.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. When he's got a real test next season, when other managers know what he's about,
Mm.
that's when it will. That's when you'll have the real test.
I can't even see it.
And we'll
Who's
see.
5th and 6th and 7th? All that?
Zidane's 5th, Conte 6th, Simeone is 7th, Pochettino is 8th. That's
Wow.
I'm not even going to speak about that one. Nagelsmann is 9th, Rodgers is 10th.
Right?
Why is Rodgers 10th? I don't get that. What's he doing there?
He
Another
won all
bottle.
those league titles with Celtic, so he must be in
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
Does
Stupid
that
as
mean
hell,
does
but
that mean
yeah.
Ollie can go in there because he won the league titles with Mulder?
Why is
Well,
Poch
Ollie's
there?
16th.
Why
Yeah.
is Poch there? Makes
Why
no
is
sense.
Allegri there? Like, he shouldn't even be mentioned. He's not a manager at the moment. He hasn't been for
This
about
must,
anything-
this must be voted for by fans.
If
Has
anything,
to be.
Conte should be higher than Tuchel because he's just won a blooming Italian league with Inter Milan for the
Serie
first
A.
time in years. Yeah,
This
Serie
is this
A.
based on this season or like last season or what exactly?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just ranking the
really
20 best managers in the world. Ranking. Who ranks them?
Who's
Doesn't even
top
say.
3 in order?
Pep,
Pep.
Hansi Flick, and then Klopp.
Look, personally, I like just speaking from like experience with like German managers and stuff. I think the point you guys raised there, like regarding adapting to different styles and etc. I think the downfall of German managers is how stubborn they are. Like they always stick to exactly what they want to do. Like Klopp, how many times have you heard Klopp burnout? You've heard it a gazillion times since he's been
Yeah.
in the
He's
league.
very naive.
We
And that will
we
never
seen it at the
change.
end of last season.
He's
It's never
naive.
gonna change.
He's
It's
naive.
never gonna change. Every
Yeah.
single season, you're gonna hear club burnout, club burnout. The downfall of German managers is how stubborn they are. So Tuchel will be the same. Tuchel will just stick
I
to
don't
what
know,
he
you know.
believes in, no matter what.
Yeah,
I think he's more.
Yeah.
I think he's more adaptable than Klopp,
Yeah, I
from
think
what
so.
I've seen of him
Could be,
Yeah.
could be.
at PSG. But because Klopp, you're right. Klopp is ultimate stubborn.
Stubborn. He's
Yeah,
very
like
stubborn.
he's not going to. There's nothing wrong with it. He believes in his system.
Yeah.
What all he'll do is he'll just move on. When it stops working for him, he won't change. He'll just move on.
Hopefully
but-
that doesn't happen anytime soon.
I actually think the end of next season he moves. That's my. I've had this theory since the end of last season. I think the end of next season he will move on. I don't.
He's signed a contract till the end of 2024. So, and he usually honors the contracts he signs. So I think he probably will stay till then. That's my opinion. I think he'll probably do the rebuilding for the manager after him. Like
Not if there's
he'll
no-
do
not if there's no
the
backing.
rebuilding.
Not if there's
Yeah.
no backing.
No
Yeah,
backing.
that's a different debate.
and
FSG
also-
out all the way.
Yeah.
Do you think they will back him this summer?
Listen,
They
pressure
have to
by
in a way.
fans. Like I'm gonna say this, okay? Like honestly, the worst fan base to mess with is the Liverpool fan base. Like it's genuinely the worst fan base to mess with in terms of like, and especially like with Klopp, because that man like literally gave us everything we wanted. You know, the whole Premier League title after 30 years, etc.
Yeah.
So they can't mess about this summer. This summer is the worst summer for them to mess around, and that's why like over the past 3, 4, 5 days, the Sancho links have actually gone higher and higher and higher. Like now they're actually saying that Sancho could go to United or Liverpool, so there is a chance he actually comes to us as well. So
Wouldn't surprise me.
now, yeah, it wouldn't as well because Klopp obviously is the manager, and who wouldn't want to play for Klopp? Like, so I think this summer they have to spend, have to.
It's fair.
Yeah,
I hear that.
it wouldn't surprise me if Sancho went to Liverpool. I wouldn't be shocked in any way at all. It would just be typical Man United. But I do think if a Real Madrid came in next season, the end of the season coming, and said, look, we want you, and Klopp hasn't had a great season, he hasn't picked up a major trophy, I think he leaves. Honestly, I think he leaves.
I think he stays personally. That's what I think.
I'd be surprised. I would be surprised, but I get why Liverpool fans want him to stay. My argument to that would be, if he is so stubborn, and we know you can only play a certain system for so long before you get found out, why would you want him to stay?
look, Klopp has enough credit in the bank to like get us relegated, and I still back him. I don't want to
I
sound like
see,
one of
I
those
see, I
crazy
see.
people, but honestly, Klopp has so much credit in the
You're a
bank.
Klopp sexual.
Like, no, I'm not. It's just factual. And look, he can adapt a little bit, and he's tried to do that this season by playing Jota and Firmino together, etc. I think this season is a combination of things. It's not just Klopp's fault, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
like, it's many things put together. It's like the board not supporting him. In January, he actually wanted a world-class centre back, and they gave him Ozan Kabak and Ben Davies. I don't even
Yeah.
think he wanted Davies because he's not even played him since then. Then you have the injuries. Then you have players missing chances, like the Newcastle game. I'm sure all of you have seen highlights, etc. I'm not even like bullshitting. We could have genuinely won that game 8-1. Like we had so many clear goal scoring opportunities. I'm not talking about a half chance. I'm talking about clear goal scoring opportunity. Is Klopp meant to like actually go on the pitch and score those chances? Klopp is actually meant to like put you in a system, in a situation where you can create chances and be in a good position to score. And he's done that, but the players have just missed their chances.
That's what we used to say
Players
about
have dropped
Lampard.
off massively. I mean,
It is actually. It is actually.
does Lampard
Isn't it?
does Lampard have credit in the bank like Klopp as a manager,
Well,
not as a player?
They spent 200 million for him, so they must have had some sort of credit with the
Yeah, I
owners.
guess so.
Probably
I-
more last season, to be fair, Lampard.
Where
considering
I-
the transfer ban and whatnot.
Where I would disagree would be games like Aston Villa, where you had a strong squad and they like
Yeah, I remember that.
You had to do me
It was-
like that, man. We
it
were
was
having a
embarrassing.
nice footballing
It was-
chat,
it
and
was
then you had to
embarrassing.
bring up Aston Villa. Like, yes, it was
Burnley.
embarrassing, but
I
that's
got
an
to shoot,
anomaly.
guys. Yeah. I'll talk to you
that
later.
happened.
Take
See you
care,
later.
James.
Take care.
See you, Jem.
Burnley as well. I think that was quite.
But that's my point. Is he supposed to actually go on the pitch and score those chances? Burnley,
No,
just
but he-
before Burnley scored, Origi had a one-on-one opportunity with like
Yeah.
the entire goal in front of him, and he missed it. Like, that's my point. I'm not making excuses for him. Some decisions he's made has been questionable. Example, taking Thiago off against Newcastle. Questionable decision, 100%. But my point is, it's all these little things put together. It's the injuries, it's the not getting back, it's players dropping off massively. Like, Firmino has honestly forgotten how to play football. Like, he passes when he needs to shoot, vice versa. Robertson's level has dropped off so much. Like, it can't be just Klopp, you know?
I
It's not-
did.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a multitude of things. Injuries, like a bit of people, finding them out and whatnot. And then there's, Klopp should take some of the blame with some things, but it's not all his fault at all. He's a world-class manager. Yeah.
I agree with that. He is a top manager. I would have loved him at Man United. Absolutely loved him.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Ferguson tried to get him, but he denied.
yeah, of course. Yeah, and rightfully so. Like, if you're not allowed to do your job at a club, why would you go there?
We would have ruined him, honestly.
He's a smart guy. He knows that he wouldn't be able to do his job at Manchester United.
He spoke to Ed Woodward and said no, he doesn't want to come here because Ed
Yeah,
Woodward paid him to be, what was it called, Disneyland or something like that. It didn't seem like a
Yeah.
serious football club because he's all
Exactly.
talk.
Exactly that. Again, why my whole Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing is I can't be Ole in or out because it's an absolute circus. But I felt like Liverpool as a club in the transfer window, I was just shocked. I was like, wow, how can you not go and buy? I know they bought Jota, but how can you not buy a centre forward? How can you not buy another centre back? And I know you got Thiago in on a free, but it was still like you're Liverpool and you've just won the Champions League and the Premier League. This is when you go big in the window. This is when you're the most attractive proposition to players. You can literally go to footballers and say, we've just won the Champions League and the Premier League, and we've got Klopp as our manager. We want you.
And look, this is why I turned FSG out. It's the totality of things that have happened. They've done. I don't think, in my opinion, FSG have been as bad as Kroenke or the Glazers. 100%, they've not been as bad. But at the end of the day, their transfer policy is not a winning policy. The whole sell to buy thing, the whole buy young players. Even if you look at the player we just recently bought, Konate, he's 21 years old. It's under the same whole money ball thingy. Look, what's even more embarrassing than what we did this transfer window is what we did the transfer window before that. We've just won the Champions League and we finished second in the Premier League. We go sign Sepp van der Berg, Harvey Elliott, and Adrian on a free. That's what we actually went and did. And then because we won the Premier League, FSG like obviously are not just gonna spend money, so they just go ahead and do the same thing. Klopp is a magician, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, Klopp is not a magician. He can't
I
like
agree.
yeah, he can't just keep like making every single player perform 10 times his level. That's not how football works. I think Ferguson had the chance every 2-3 years to actually buy a world class player and refresh and everything. I think Klopp has not gotten that chance.
I wouldn't agree with that from when the Glazers came in as such. I
Got
think
Rooney, and then we had Ferdinand. No, Ferdinand came. Did he come before the Glazers?
no after, didn't he? I think wasn't Ferdinand 2006.
Yeah, and then there's obviously Wayne Rooney came in.
Wayne
Came
Rooney
in the year
in.
after Ronaldo
Yeah.
came in. Didn't he?
The
But
year
basically,
after
Ferguson
Ronaldo.
at least got the chance to get a world class player in every 2-3 years. We haven't had that chance. We haven't had like to actually freshen things up, etc. We haven't. Klopp hasn't been given the opportunity. And
Well,
when
he
you
just
look
brought
at it,
Thiago in. Thiago's world class.
okay, but Thiago is first with Thiago. The thing is, that's why I said this season it's a combination of different things. But with Thiago, he is world class. But at the end of the day, he's almost 30 years old. So his like prime Thiago thingy is a
No,
bit
he's in
like.
his prime.
Yeah, he's a
I wouldn't say
midfielder.
he's in his prime.
He's a
I would
midfielder.
say-
Their prime is between what 27 and what is he, 31, 32.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, that's
He's
a fair
very,
enough
very
argument.
best right now.
But Thiago, at the end of the day, him not like playing at the Bayern level is also not Thiago's fault, not Klopp's fault. Like I said,
But
it's a combination of things.
I don't think Klopp's actually getting the best out of him. In my
I think, I think there were times where he was playing as a. I know, obviously, you had your issues because obviously Fabinho and Henderson had to play centre back. So again, that's a massive thing. I think it was a bigger thing than people actually gave it credit for. It was huge because Fabinho in the midfield he's a ridiculously good player.
oh
But
yeah,
playing
outstanding.
Thiago as a six is criminal. Like just
But
playing
who
as a
else
lone
are
six.
you gonna play? Who else
That's what
are
I'm
you gonna
saying. That's
play?
what I'm saying. Like there were times where Klopp had opportunity to play one of the other defenders, like just play one of your young boys, and then have either Henderson out of that defense. There were opportunities for him to do that where he could have played. Is it Kabak and Davies? Is it Davies?
Yeah, but like we got those guys in January. Before that, it was just Reece Williams and Nat Phillips, and Reece Williams is never gonna make it at this level. He's way too slow for.
No, I hear that, but basically what happened was he sacrificed the entire midfield. Basically, I understand playing Fabinho as a centre back because he's actually a very good centre back, to be fair.
He is, yeah.
But to play Fabinho and Henderson we all know he was not a centre back, and he's key in that midfield as well. Keep Henderson in there and play one of your young boys alongside Fabinho, who is experienced, rather than sacrificing your midfield and your defence. Do you know what I mean? That's what I would say.
That's something I agree with.
Fine.
That's something I agree with. I think Fabinho should have played defensive midfielder all the way through. I think that's why when I said it's a combination of things, this is one of the decisions obviously you can criticize Klopp for. I think he definitely should have played Fabinho defensive midfielder. And the moment he actually moved Fabinho back into the defensive midfielder role, we play a totally different game. So I do agree with that. But I think, look, at the end of the day, Klopp was probably just trying to figure it out. Too many injuries. Every week, someone else would get injured. And like the thing is as well, with the whole system and what Klopp does, it's not just the centre backs getting injured. It's the fact that every single one of our starting XI has at least been injured for 3 weeks, at least. So every one of them has actually been out for a bit. So like you've had different injuries at different times, and that's why we've had like 900 different centre back partnerships this season and stuff. So yeah, I think, look, it's a combination of things. And at the end of the day, Thiago, with a full fit squad, with Van Dijk there, etc., played one game, and that was, I think, 1 or 2 games. And Chelsea away, he was man of the match. So he showed what he could have done. But unfortunately, the whole system has collapsed this year.
I love Thiago. I think I was so gutted when you guys got him. I think he's an absolutely ridiculously good midfielder.
He's a great player. He's a great player. I just don't think Klopp's getting the best out of him. And I think Klopp's actually panicked and tried too many things, changed way too many things, but kept the front three. Everything apart from the front three.
And ironically, the front three should have been changed at times. Like Mane's had stinkers all season.
And you've been very unlucky with Jota injuries as well, because he came in just firing. But there's times when I think your midfield is getting overrun, and your midfield normally covers your fullbacks, right, to allow them to get forward. And I look at it and I'm like, why don't you just play 2 up top and drop an extra man in the midfield if you're that under pressure? Like, do that and still try and get the best out of your
Klopp this
fullbacks.
season has tried so many different things. Like
Hmm.
I don't think we've probably like done like 8 games in a row with the same style, the same players. He's changed up the entire like back four, the midfield, even front three. He's sometimes dropped Firmino and played Jota or played them both, etc. He's just been trying so many different things to find the solution. But at the end of the day, like it's too much for any manager to handle in world football. I don't think any manager in his position probably would have the same issues. Thiago, at the end of the day, when Liverpool have a fully fit squad, they have everyone there available. They have Van Dijk there. Then we can see whether he actually can play with Klopp or not.
I think
Yeah.
he can if you have Fabinho in there.
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
It's not that. It was just because he played as a lone six, and he's never been a lone six. He always played alongside someone at Bayern, so that he had the freedom to just drift and do what he needed to do. But when you play as a lone six, he doesn't have that freedom because otherwise your defense isn't shielded. So that's where the problem lies, isn't it? But I think he's had better games for you guys than people say as well.
It doesn't help having Van Dijk out of there. Like, are you worried about Van Dijk coming back? Are you worried?
I am,
what sort of
and
Van Dijk you're gonna get?
Yeah, I am, because like his injury is a different type of injury. Like it usually does
Serious.
affect players, but at the end of the day, Van Dijk is a Rolls Royce, so he could still obviously play at a high level at minimum, I'd say. The thing is now as well, he's back and he's probably gonna play at the Euros for Netherlands, especially that he's actually like the captain. So
You think he should?
if I'm being selfish, I say no, he shouldn't. But if I'm looking at it from his perspective, he's the captain of his national team playing in a tournament that happens once every 4 years. He's obviously going to play. Like, he's not going to miss out on that opportunity. Because when you look at it, the next Euros, he's going to be like, 34? So you can't even guarantee that he's going to be at that one or play an important role, etc. So
That's fair.
I hope, because listen, I know he plays for Liverpool. I'm a Man United fan, but I'm very much football first, and I like to see top players. I like watching top players. I want to beat Liverpool when they are at their strongest.
Yeah.
That gives me great satisfaction knowing that there's no excuses from Liverpool fans or from Liverpool. I want to see Van Dijk come back. I kind of hope that he will be that Roy Keane or that Zlatan type player that manages to do that. My only issue is that he's so explosive that he might actually struggle with that, because he's a real athlete. Actually, Van Dijk, he really is. He's a threat in both boxes. The way he leaps off the ground is insane. It's just insane. He's quick for a big guy, physical. I just worry with an ACL that it could get worse. What tends to happen is that you overcompensate as well on the other side of your body, and you'll start picking up injuries in his other leg because you overcompensate. I hope that doesn't happen, but time will tell on that one. Me personally, I don't think he should be going to the tournament.
Yeah,
at all.
That's why I said from a selfish Liverpool perspective, I'd say I don't want him to. But at the end of the day, he's representing his country. He's the captain, etc. So for his own sake, he should play in that. Like because they also have a good chance of winning. By the way, the Euros. The Netherlands have a good team, I think. So they do have a chance of winning that. I'd say top four nominees for the Euros.
Oh, we're gonna have to do a stream on this, but I actually think if Gareth Southgate picked the right squad, England have got a better side.
Oh my
And
God!
I didn't even follow England.
Please,
England. I follow.
We've heard this so many times. Please, we've heard this so many times.
I'm serious.
England are going to win the Euros. They're going to win the World Cup. They didn't do it with.
I never said that.
I know you've never said that, but I'm saying in
believe
general.
that.
But I'm saying if they had the golden generation, Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Rio, Terry, Ashley Cole, Rooney, Owen. Look at the players I'm naming. They are not learning. They're making the same mistake. They're giving a golden generation to a not capable enough manager. Sven-Göran Eriksson and Southgate is basically the same side of the coin. Like the exact same stories happening once again. They have a golden generation: Foden, Mount, Grealish, Maddison, whoever you want to name, Kane, and they're giving all that to Gareth Southgate, who's not even proven himself in any managerial level. The same thing with what they did with Sven-Göran Eriksson. So they're not learning from those mistakes. And if you just look at what Southgate does, the recent friendly they just played, you're playing Albania and you play two defensive midfielders. That just shows the mentality and the lack of guts
I'm
of
with
that
you.
manager.
Yeah.
I'm
fact is-
with you. I just don't.
I'm sorry. I feel like when someone like says that, it just triggers me because
No.
I
I'm
like
with you.
start preaching and stuff.
I'm with
you
you,
know?
but I do also watch the Dutch side, and although they've got some great players in there, I do question whether they're good enough to be in the top 4, and I do think there's more. So when you
Who
look
do you
at
think is top 4?
France.
France. I think we all
France
would
has
agree.
to be.
France, Germany,
Germany.
Germany in there.
Then?
Portugal. I think Portugal will be up. I don't think they're amazing, Portugal, but they've
But
got
I
some
agree,
very good.
Portugal's
They've
gonna be a-
got
they're
clutch
gonna be a
players. They've
handful.
got clutch players. Yeah,
They're going to
for
be
sure.
a
I agree.
handful.
But then who else you're gonna put? Because Spain are not Spain anymore. Like they're not
No, I agree with
2010, 12, and
Yeah.
the same
Yeah,
with
not
not Italy exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Top 4 contenders. Like when you look at it, they are actually one of the top 4 teams in there. I think France, Portugal, and Germany. I think 90% of people would agree they are like the top 3 nominees to actually win that Euros. But in the 4th position, I'm just going for Holland. They have a good system. They play good football. They do have a chance at least.
I think
England,
they've
England,
I think
no
they've got a
chance.
chance.
England,
Oh,
no chance just because of Southgate.
I'm putting them. I'm saying they get further than Holland. I actually think we're missing someone out here.
I mean, Belgium
Yeah,
aren't-
same. I'm just
Belgium
thinking.
aren't as good as
Croatia.
Croatia.
Maybe Croatia could make a crazy run. You never know.
Nah, I don't think
Kevin De
Croatia.
Bruyne has had a great season. Lukaku's had a pretty
Belgium.
good season. I think
Belgium
they're a
could be.
bigger threat as well.
But
the thing
Belgium
is-
do have good
the
players.
thing
They're
is,
not
like-
as good as they were last tournament. They dropped off since then.
Yeah, exactly. They have another issue with their manager. I think it's Roberto Martinez, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. With Southgate, my issue is this. Your strength, like if you right now just tell me the best players for England, you're gonna say Kane, you're gonna say Sancho, you're gonna say if Rashford, Sterling, Foden, Mount, whoever, and then you take that and then you play a defensive style. Like when we talk about managers not adapting, that's the highest level of not adapting. Why do you need to actually play a defensive team?
I'm with
like
you.
there's no reason for that. Like
I
when you
agree
look at
with
it, when you look at it,
I trust me. I know
his-
this.
I know, but I just get triggered by Southgate.
Played Paul Scholes.
I get
This is why we
triggered
didn't
by
put the best English midfielder.
Oh,
One of the best you don't believe this.
another trigger word. Another trigger
The
word.
best. He was by far. He was clear.
He's not.
He was
He's-
as clear as a brand new polished window. Trust me.
He
was
is not.
clear.
Gerrard is
He
a
was
level above
clear.
Paul Scholes. Gerrard is a level above.
Okay.
You know, we need neutrals on for this sort of debate because it's just going to be United fans backing Scholes and then Liverpool fans behind.
Yeah, but I will actually use facts and not nostalgic opinions to actually say Scholes is better.
Okay.
Individually. Individually.
That's an individual
who's the
footballer
more...
now. Did you know what
Okay,
it is?
but-
Me and Rachel were talking about this earlier. Gerrard is Kevin De Bruyne,
Oh.
but Paul Scholes is David Silva. And that's the issue.
That's not true.
That's the
that's
issue.
not-
Here.
that's not
That's
true.
exactly.
No,
that's
no,
exactly what it
he
is.
doesn't mean. It
It's not.
doesn't mean in terms of their style of football. What he's
No, I
saying
don't mean in
is,
the style of football. I mean,
he means in terms of stats. So like KDB is the one that gets more assists, scores more goals, but David Silva is the better player.
and
That's-
I'm not even gonna use stats if I do the Gerrard Lampard Scholes debate. I'm not even gonna use stats. Not even
you
one.
can't because most of Paul Scholes wasn't even recorded. That's the point here. Most of it wasn't
It
even
was.
recorded. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, you're talking about the fact that he was like the pass before the assist, all that.
Yeah, and also they didn't record the passes before the assist, and that's what Paul Scholes was.
To be fair, the Premier
when you-
League
And that's
goals
when you
difference
look
between
at
Scholes
what
and
the
Gerrard
play-
isn't that
That's
much
how
anyway.
important he was.
It's
That's
the
how-
first
Let me
goal
tell you my
difference in this
argument.
game.
Let me tell you my argument, and I'm leaning in right now because I have like facts I'm about to spit. Look, when you look at Gerrard and you look at what he's done individually, and the reason I say individually because you can't compare individuals using team trophies. Because using that logic, I'm just gonna say Curtis Jones is better than Bruno, or I can even say Wijnaldum is better than Bruno because he's never won the league, he's never won the Champions League.
Yeah,
blah,
but I
blah. There's
watched
no
him.
point.
I watched him.
Individually, okay, let me preach. Individually, when you look at it in terms of awards, the guy who got into the most teams of the season in England, it's not Rooney, it's not Henry, it's not Vieira, it's not whoever you want to say, it's not Ronaldo, it's Gerrard. When you look at the Champions League historic XI, they actually UEFA came out with an 11.
Does that surprise you that the captain of the second biggest club in England got put
But
in?
you say the second biggest club in England.
That
Were we
surprises you,
behaving
right?
like the second biggest club?
No,
Can you honestly
it doesn't
say
matter
that?
how you were behaving. You were the second biggest club.
Obviously,
You
it
were still
matters
picking-
how you behave.
still-
You
no,
can't.
no, no. You were
You
still
can't be
picking
like
up,
10th and
come
go
on.
like
You
we're
were
the
still
second
picking up. You were
biggest
still
club.
finishing top 4. You were still picking up Champions Leagues.
Who
He
was that
the
down
captain.
to?
He's Gerrard was quality. I'm not getting away from that.
Yeah, no,
There's
no
no,
one can say that.
getting away from that at all. But if Steven Gerrard, the captain of Liverpool Football Club, the second best team in the league, in terms
weren't
of
the second best team, though.
biggest club. Sorry, second
Biggest,
club
correct? Yes, correct.
in the league.
Okay,
Isn't put in that, I'd be shocked.
but you don't.
be
But you don't get that
absolutely
by
shocked.
default, though. You don't get that by default. Why is
Yeah, but
Gerrard at the
what
top
I'm
of
saying
that
to you,
list?
he's going in as Liverpool captain anyway.
Okay, but you're saying okay. Let's assume
He's
for the
going
sake
in
of
as Liverpool,
argument, Liverpool.
especially as a Liverpool lad.
Okay. Let's assume for the sake
So
of
he's already got-
argument,
he's already got a
Liverpool are
pass
the
on that
second
one.
are the second biggest club in England, and United are first. So using your own argument against you, United are the biggest club in the country. Why didn't
Yeah.
Scholes get into the team more than Gerrard then?
Because Scholes was never really the assists or the goal. Scholes was the pass before that. Scholes controlled games. Also, he was overshadowed by incredible players on the ball when it came to attacking, like Ryan Giggs, David Beckham. You had the best leader I've ever seen in the Premier League in Roy Keane. You had
I would agree with
strikers. You had
Yeah.
strikers like Wayne Rooney, the England's golden boy, Andrew Cole and Dwight York. He was never in the media. He was a quiet guy. This is my problem with Southgate. Southgate will pick the players that are in the media that all the fans are talking about.
Southgate
gonna
is
pick
just
the
a
right
fraud.
No, do you know what
Forget
it is?
forget
every-
Southgate.
It is with
every-
He's
individual
an
awards.
actual
Every
fraud.
manager's done that.
At the end of
Southgate
the
is
day-
genuinely a fraud.
No, I hear that. At the end of the day, individual awards are given to popular players. Like we've
Yeah.
No,
literally
they're
seen.
It is true.
Yes, they are. Listen,
No, they're
we have literally
They are.
seen players robbed of Ballon d'Ors because they're not as say trendy around Europe. Like
Lewandowski
Thierry
last
Henry,
season.
well that one.
I know it was a bit different, but
No,
still.
let's be
they
real
would
here.
have made it.
If
They would have
Messi-
made it happen if it was Messi.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. If it was Messi or Ronaldo contending for it, like genuinely favourites to win it, and not Lewandowski, the award would have been given. Like it's like the Oscars, right? The Oscars are basically popularity contests. Let's be real. Like it's the same thing in football. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say Gerrard wasn't a great player or anything like that. He was a great player. And the same thing with Lampard. But I don't think these are what I look at when I compare players is their attributes. And for me, Paul Scholes all round was a better midfielder than Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard. Like, okay, you want to dispute
that's
the party.
facts.
Paul Scholes was a better passer.
That's just false based on the fact that Scholes couldn't tackle and couldn't do the defensive role as
That's
well.
a lot.
Gerrard.
That's a
No,
lot.
that's a myth. That's a myth.
That's
Listen,
not a
He made-
myth.
he
That's
made-
something
he made-
admitted by
he made
United
bad
fans
tackle.
and players equally.
No,
You
again, it's a myth. Like you have when you look at football fans, right? How many of them would you say, percentage-wise, actually watch football and actually look at the players, right? This myth about Paul Scholes, yes, he would
10,
go in hard on
15%.
tackles. He would go in hard on tackles, absolutely. But the majority of the time, especially later on in his career, he held a midfield on his own or alongside someone. So he played in a two-man midfield or a three-man midfield. He played in all the positions in the midfield. He could do everything. That's one thing I like about Gerrard. He actually did a bit of everything as well. Like
Rachel,
Paul Scholes overall was better passer.
But when
I
you
know
say
you're-
all-around footballer, though, that's literally the
gonna-
definition of Steven Gerrard. Because he played 10 different positions.
I
on
just
the pitch.
credited Gerrard with that. To be fair, I did say
Yeah,
Gerrard,
yeah,
I like
I get
about Gerrard as well. Like
He-
the different types of dribblers, right? Gerrard was more about power for me.
drive.
Gerrard
yeah.
was quicker. Yeah, he was fantastic in terms of that. Paul Scholes was better in tight spaces. If you give him the ball, he's a lot more difficult to get the ball off of in tight spaces. So different types of dribblers. I think Paul Scholes is a better passer. Okay, yeah, Gerrard scored more goals, absolutely. But there were seasons where Gerrard was playing much higher up the pitch as well, especially in the Torres era, where he was basically playing just behind Torres, and their link-up play was ridiculously good.
Hmm.
Like, Paul's, for me, this ability to control the game, as we said in the Twitter space, is a really underrated thing. To dictate the tempo of a game as a midfielder is huge, especially when you consider all the fantastic midfield combinations in that era as well. And that was when this is the midfield that switched from a 2-man midfield to a 3-man midfield.
I'd say in regards to that.
When we look
Go
back
ahead,
on
go ahead.
Manchester City, we look back on them in 5 years' time. This is why I brought up De Bruyne and David Silva. Everybody will talk about how good Kevin De Bruyne is. But if you actually watch football, there is no denying that David Silva was a much better footballer than Kevin De Bruyne. And that's exactly what we've got here with Paul Scholes and Lampard. Gerrard and Lampard, is that people discredit him because of this, how simple he made the game. You get discredited for being better.
I'm not discrediting him. Look, I would be unrealistic if I just said Gerrard is better at everything. I've already said Scholes is better than Gerrard at controlling the tempo of a game. That's something no one on planet Earth can deny. But at the end of the day, when you look at what they did individually on the pitch and off the pitch with awards they received, etc., your point is true when it comes to the Ballon d'Or in the Messi Ronaldo era. Before that, it's different because Henry was way more popular than Nedved, and there were players more popular than Michael Owen. Sometimes different players won Ballon d'Ors. Now, when you look at individual awards, when you make an all-time Champions League XI, you put Xavi, Iniesta, and you put Gerrard next to them. When the Ballon d'Or magazine actually nominates, that is actually true. I'm actually going to send it to you.
You would put Zidane in. Zidane is clear of Gerrard.
Let me speak. I'm not talking about my opinion. I'm not saying who should be there and who shouldn't. I'm saying based on facts. So when the Champions League all-time XI, Xavi, Iniesta, Gerrard, when they were nominating,
that's also creating on people's opinions, right?
Let me preach for like 1 minute, and then after that, the Ballon d'Or same magazine came up with a dream team of all time: Pele, Maradona, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, etc. So they basically had 10 nominees for each position. Nominated for the midfielder position, along with the likes of Bobby Charlton and historic players Gerrard. Lampard wasn't there, Scholes wasn't there. 3 times he made the World 11, 3 times. And for an English player, like I said on the Twitter space, there is actually reverse bias, and it's harder for them to get into World 11 because English players are actually, like I'd say, disliked outside of England. Obviously, Gerrard finished 3rd in the Ballon d'Or voting as well. The fact that he holds the record for getting into the team of the season. And it's not another player. It's not Alan Shearer. It's not Aguero. It's not Henry. It's not like greats of the game. He actually has 8, and the guy after him has 5. So when you look at it from an individual awards perspective, which shows what the guy did on the pitch for his team, I'm not going to criticize him for being loyal to Liverpool, for actually staying at the club he supported as a child, because the reason he didn't win something is not because of Gerrard. It's because of ownership. It's because of people not spending money. It's because of like the poor team he had around him. And any time he actually had a good team, like a good team to actually like contend, he did exactly that. 08-09, he was brilliant that season, and exactly what you guys said. He played behind Fernando Torres as a second striker, and Zidane said that season that he rates Gerrard higher than Messi and Ronaldo. So like that's the level Gerrard was on. Gerrard was on a different level. And in terms of what they do on the pitch, like actual attributes on the pitch, I say Scholes was better at controlling the tempo of a game, and I'm going to give you, for the sake of argument, he was better at short passes. Besides that, long passing, shooting, intangibles, leadership, set piece ability, the fact that he can literally drag a team, which is so like that 2005 Champions League run by itself. If you just look at the names we had there, Cinema Pongol, I don't know, Neil Mellor, Milan Baros, Harry Kewell, all are not.
I remember watching it.
Not one single player from that team gets into the United team. Not one single player, and he single-handedly dragged that team to a champion. No, that's just false. Because Ferguson wanted to sign him anyway.
No way would he get in.
Ferguson wanted to sign him, but the fact Ferguson wanted to sign him like denies the fact he just said. Why would Ferguson want him if he wouldn't get into United?
He doesn't get in over Scholes. He wouldn't get in over Scholes.
Gerrard brought so much more.
The worst thing Paul Scholes did was stay at Manchester United, because if he would have went to Spain, people would be lauding him like a god. They
would
really were,
argue.
because he was that because he was that technical footballer in the Premier League. He was an English player way ahead of his time. Way ahead of his time. That's the issue. Gerrard is more of an old school box to box midfielder. Like he was the ultimate box to box drive with the ball midfielder for me. I watched a lot of Steven Gerrard. I watched a lot of him, but Paul Scholes was technically better. Again, when we look back at Man City, we will look at Kevin De Bruyne over David Silva, and for me, David
It's not the
Silva
same.
is exactly the same.
It's not the same because you're comparing two players who played for the same club and they both played with the same standard of player. Gerrard didn't play with a high standard of player at all. So when you're talking about assists,
I'm watching is I'm looking at the attributes. I'm looking at the attributes. I'm not looking at a team that built themselves to get the best out of their best player. I'm not looking at a team where the two players played in the same. I'm looking at their attributes. What people see. So when it comes to goals and assists and stuff, and this isn't taken away from Gerrard because he was a top player. We were blessed to have Paul Scholes, Frank Lampard, Michael Carrick, Steven Gerrard. We were blessed to have these players. We're absolutely blessed. But again, David Silva was a much better footballer than Kevin De Bruyne. But Kevin De Bruyne is in all of the media. He's in all of the teams of the year. He's in all the World 11s. But David Silva's a better footballer. And that's the same thing with Paul Scholes, because David Silva will run into the box and he'll create space, drag a player out, and he'll knock it back. And then it'll get passed to someone else and Aguero will get slipped in. That's what that is. He creates that play. Gerrard was never that player. Gerrard was the player.
You could compare David Silva to Scholes. Comparing David Silva to Scholes is fair. Because they do play, as you said, the similar type of football, but KDB and Gerrard it's not the same because Gerrard is a higher level than Kevin De Bruyne.
Forget that. Forget whether Scholes is as good or Gerrard's as good. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying to you is that Kevin De Bruyne will always be regarded as a better footballer. He'll always be the one that's remembered for Manchester City, because of the way, his style of play, how he plays football, because he drives with the ball, because he passes the eye test like that. But as a footballer, David Silva is clear of him. And that's exactly where I am with Paul Scholes and Gerrard. That doesn't mean I'm taking away from Gerrard and Kevin De Bruyne. The facts are the facts. That's where I am with it.
But I'm saying even as a footballer, I'd actually think Gerrard is better than Scholes. As a footballer, purely from a footballing perspective.
Well, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree. There's
a lot of things Gerrard did better than Scholes on the pitch. Like when I tell you, like all the things I just named, the long passing ability, the leadership, the intangibles, the fact he was more versatile.
I don't think he was better at a long pass at all. I think that's rubbish. I think Paul Scholes was just as good as David Beckham at a pass. Paul Scholes was outstanding. Go watch him back, man. He was absolutely.
I did watch him. I support Liverpool since 2003. I've seen my team go through shit my entire life, and the only player who actually tried was Gerrard. And you're like my problem is the thing is with United, they had incredible players in there. So when you're talking about even the stuff Scholes was doing, Gerrard was never given the opportunity to even do that at Liverpool. He couldn't do that at Liverpool because he needed to drag his team through games, through finals, through semi-finals.
I get that.
So that's the thing. When you play with a different standard level of player, like I've seen a Crouch interview today, Peter Crouch, he says, Gerrard literally uplifted every single other player. So whenever a player went to Liverpool, he got up a notch just because of Gerrard. Like his ability on the football pitch as well. The fact he can win you a game by himself. There's so much things like Gerrard does. And people, I know, I'm not saying you do, because I respect the fact that you're actually making an argument. Many people just go like, oh, he never won the league, which is just a shit argument, let's be honest.
He's a top player.
I'm saying based on footballing ability, I'd also take Gerrard ahead of Scholes. That's just my opinion.
Let's be honest, right?
I'd like to see them play together, just the two of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
put them in the same team. I'd like to see that. But I
That
think
goes back to Sven Goran Southgate, both of them just being absolute frauds. And the same thing you're going to see with England. Everyone's going to go like, I wish Foden and Mount play together. I wish Mount and Grealish play together. And he ends up playing Henderson and Dyer. That's what's going to happen.
yeah, and
So,
Jesse Lingard. Yeah,
yeah, so it's the same
Oh
thing.
gosh. If
that's-
you know, if I supported England in the Euros, I'm pretty sure I'll be so pissed off every game.
no,
I'm watching
sticking
that
with
stuff.
Italy. I'm not doing it. But listen, we better wrap up.
Yeah.
Because it's late.
Good talk,
And also,
guys.
everybody, if you want to stay up, go over to the Football Terrace because KJ should be live with Midnight Vibes right now. So go and give that a watch.
Oh, yeah.
But subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, please. Big up everybody in the chat who's been in there. Everybody for coming on. And tomorrow is EFL show, and then we're doing the Premier League review, right?
Yes, we are.
Premier League review. So we'll be putting images up of the game, breaking down the games, all the big talking points, the goals. So please join us for that. Anything else, Rachel, before we go?
We have our audience show this week as well, where the audience basically picks the topics and we discuss them. So we're just the hosts. You guys are just, it's all about you guys, what you think, what you want to speak about. Probably the Gerard Lampard goals debate again. Messi Ronaldo debate or something like that. But yeah, it should be a good show.
Yeah, should be good. Looking forward to it. Okay, take care, people. Go get some sleep if you're not going to watch Midnight Vibes, man. Take care.